2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome into it. Hey, happy Wednesday for the middle of the week. There is a lot to talk about for sure, man. So buckle in, strap up, let's have some fun today. We have redistricting in California, Supreme Court allowing that to happen. Also, 700 ICE agents pulling out of Minnesota and Minneapolis, so we'll get to that. And we have Terry Wilcox on the program, bottom of the hour, the co-founder of Patient Rising. We'll talk about the great healthcare plan that's proposed by Donald Trump and what healthcare could look like in the future. We got some of that and a heck of a lot more. Make sure to like it out, share it out, leave that comment, break the algorithm. Let's do this thing for a middle of the week. Hang tight. Here we go.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
60s. With your forecast, I'm Cape meteorologist Frank Long.
KQAM Weather Center update presented by Jewelry Savers, your Kansas trusted jewelry source since 1971. Located off K96 and Greenwich Road.
Broadcasting from the heart
Jewelry
of the
Savers.
nation. The next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Why, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is your middle of the week, a Wednesday. Man, it's hard to believe. It flies right on by. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're pre-Friday. You're post-Monday. However you look at it, so great to have you along for the ride today. As usual, broadcasting here in the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country. So many great radio affiliates across there doing the thing.
Do it live!
Oh, hold on. I better flip it over. There we go. We got to flip over the video stream. We are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube and on our website for the audio and video. Also, our friends down at KLUP, the great 930 The Answer in San Antonio, Texas. We got you down there as well, live streaming on your YouTube page and live on your 210, Freedom 210 down there as well. So we're just all over the place, man. Great to have you, and happy Wednesday as we do the Wednesday thing, man, right?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes, and there's plenty to talk about. Supreme Court making a bomb decision today. We'll get to in a minute. Terry Wilcox will be joining us at the bottom of the hour, the co-founder of the Patient Rising organization. We'll talk about the great healthcare plan from Donald Trump. Before we get into all that, though, I have something personal for you. We lost a good one today, or, well, I guess a few days ago, of the Hooser-holic family, as I got to give a shout-out. Kelly DeShawn, she's been a great friend for a long time. I think I've mentioned her on the program before, but I've never met her in person. But she was like family. Kelly DeShawn was the affiliate representative, one that reaches out to radio stations and works with the programming and gets you signed up for shows and that sort of thing for Salem Media, that carries a lot of different great programming. The Mike Gallagher Show, Hugh Hewitt, it was the Charlie Kirk Show, and a whole bunch of other things. And I've worked with her as long as I've been an operations manager here in Wichita, Kansas, working with her on different programming for, news and for programs and so on and so forth. So I've known her for well over 10 years. But it went beyond that to where she was almost like family. And Kelly passed away this past weekend. I was not aware of it until today when, thank God, and hat tip to our friends, our program director, Chris, down in San Antonio, sending us the email and letting me know about it, that she had passed away unexpectedly, which kind of blew my mind because I just talked to her about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and I knew that she had some health issues but did not know it was that serious. I talked to her about 2 weeks ago, and from what she had said, she had just gotten out of the hospital with what they thought were gallbladder stones. And that was it. She was recovering, and she was not doing well, but she was okay and on the mend, and she was at home at that time. And I had planned to follow up this week to see how she was doing and talk to her about a few other things. Kelly, essentially, she had no kids. She called me her son, so I guess she was my mom by default as a third mother, I guess. But she was a wonderful individual. But again, all of this friendship building, never having met face-to-face in person before. And I got to give major props and credit to Kelly, because this radio program, the weekday and the weekend national broadcast show, would not be where it is today without Kelly. Being someone from Salem Radio, being an affiliate rep from Salem Radio, she helped get a lot of the affiliates that we're broadcasting on right now, and she's the one that actually helped me take the leap to get this show syndicated in the first place. Talking to her for years, her listening to my program when it was just local here in the Wichita, Kansas market, she had listened to it for a long time. She really enjoyed the program, thought it would be good syndicated, and helped me go through that process, encouraged me to do so. And when I was ready, now for our 2-hour weekend show, it's distributed through Salem Radio, largely because of her being able to help set that up. So she was a major aspect and a major part of this radio program, and she was a great friend. I considered her family. Again, I would talk to her at least, if not once a week, every other week, and she would always ask how the wife's doing and how the kiddo's doing. And it is devastating to hear that she had passed last week, and I didn't know about it until just today. So thoughts and prayers to Kelly. Her husband, who battled, I don't know, like 5 different types of cancer for years on end. He had passed away a couple years ago. She was very lonely and really missed him. So she's with her husband now. God bless you, my friend. A great Christian woman, a great Trump supporter, a great supporter of this program. She was family. We, again, considered her kind of the third mom, and one that allowed this show to be where it is today. So, Kelly, we're definitely going to miss you. We love you to death. And thoughts and prayers to you and the family. So we just had to get that out and had to make that announcement. But Kelly DeShawn passing away, and pretty sad. So that being said, don't want to start off on a damper note today, but we had to get that out. We love her to death, and again, an instrumental part to where the show is today, largely because of her, and we thank her for everything that she's done and for being such an amazing human being on that front. All right.
What's trending today?
We got a lot to talk about on kind of the damper front as well. Not the best news coming out of California. Not sure if you've seen apparently or not, but the U.S. Supreme Court has allowed, going back to an issue that has not been talked about in a few months, redistricting in the state of California, the passage of their Proposition 50, where if you're a member of the state of California, this was the transition away from a third-party entity that they voted on years ago to do the redistricting during the census time every 10 years to look at their redrawing of the lines, a third-party entity outside of the government to decide what that looks like. Now, I don't know if it was any better than what the government had actually done because they had already gerrymandered that state to the nth degree, but apparently they want to do it again. And Prop 50 was allowing Governor Gavin Newsom to have his proposal of what the redrawn lines need to look like in the state in order to add 5 new Democrat seats in the House of Representatives to essentially balance out or to neutralize the 5 Republican seats that were gained in the state of Texas after their redistricting, because California said, if you want to mess with us, then we're going to mess with you. And he did a rally down in Texas, try to trolling them, because that's just the kind of guy he is, kind of a nuisance, Newsom the nuisance, that is causing havoc across the nation. So the Supreme Court not taking up the case, meaning the lower cases ruling happened, which means that the Prop 50 is allowed to go through, and that California will be seeing the 5 additional Democrat seats in a redrawing of the lines. Now, I got to be honest, I don't know exactly where you can redraw lines to get rid of the few Republican seats that you already have anyways, because they're pretty gerrymandered as they are. The state Republican Party trying to challenge that one in court, taking it to the U.S. Supreme Court to say, hey, we need to look at this because it's racial profiling, it's racial gerrymandering to a level of what they call completely illegal, but yet the courts didn't want to hear it and kept it down to the lower one. So Gavin Newsom out there campaigning. He's got his yes on 50, the fair elections in all 50 states, because according to the Democrats and according to Gavin Newsom, drawing the lines to benefit them when you have near 40% of Republican votership in the state of California, but you only have like 15 to 20% of the representation through the House of Representatives, that's a little weird. And this is not for the other side that's like, it's the same as what Texas did. No, Texas said there was a drastic dynamic and demographic change in the state of Texas in the last election. We need to have our representatives actually reflect that. Because the way that Donald Trump won the state of Texas showed the difference in what we had seen in the past in major ways. We used the example before, Starr County, all the way down on the southern border, South Texas, where it's like 90% Hispanic. It's been Democrat for 100 years or something, and it went red this last election, and it went red pretty overwhelmingly as well. That says there's a major demographic change, and that the congressional lines need to properly reflect that because of the way things change. As far as I'm aware, I could be wrong, that we don't see that kind of change happening out of the state of California, either one way or the other, going hard right and shocking and awing many of the counties, or shocking and awing some of the red counties that went blue in the past election. That didn't happen. So there's no reason to redraw the lines in California, unlike the justification, and in my opinion, the rightfully so justification in the state of Texas to redraw those lines to better reflect after the election that we saw in 2024. But California wanting to redraw it more, getting rid of 5 Republican seats, adding the Democrats, and by the way, it will be done by the midterm election this year for 2026. So get ready for that one. And it's really unfortunate. Now, they say that this is racial profiling. That's what the Democrats tried to claim down in Texas, because I believe one of the Texas lines that have been drawn, there are now 2 districts that are like 90% black and a few that are straight Hispanic demographics in those congressional lines. And they say that boxing them into one district alone is wrong and somehow like racially bad, which I thought was kind of what Democrats had wanted with their push for resegregation and for proper representation, because if you blend it with other districts, then you get, quote unquote, to use the term, whitewashed out, and therefore that the black vote didn't actually have representation that they wanted to. So they claimed it was racial gerrymandering, but yet they're happy about having their district to represent them in a better way than what they had before. Now, California apparently wants to do that, but do that to an extreme to where that's what was being challenged in court, and it didn't quite work out for the Republicans. So California adding 5 more seats. Why we need 5 more seats in California, I don't really know. But good golly, here's the question I'm going to have in the state of California is, if they do these lines, which it sounds like they're going to, how many seats are they going to lose in general because of the lack of population? And by what I mean is people either moving out of the state of California, or the people that are self-deporting themselves because of being in illegal status that were being counted in the census that are not going to be counted any longer, that are leaving en masse, because we've seen 2 to 3 million people leave the country already by self-deportation. On top of that, with the ICE, what Immigration Customs Enforcement is doing right now to deport criminals out of the country and all over the country, including the state of California. What is that going to do to the population size in certain areas? And will we see population loss enough for California to potentially lose congressional seats in general? So that's the next conversation. That may not happen in this midterm election, but the redrawing of the lines is going to be very interesting for sure. Now,
what's trending today?
I mean, how bad is that, right? Where you have to rely on the population. That's probably why, by the way, they imported so many illegal aliens in particular areas to boost up their number of congressional seats, take it away from other seats, and be able to boost up their Democrat support. So it's not just elections. While we're pushing the SAVE Act in Washington, D.C. right now, that Chuck Schumer has said are Jim Crow laws, ironically, the Democrats supported back in the time of Jim Crow laws, but they they say they're Jim Crow laws, that they don't now want the SAVE Act for you to have to use a ID and birth certificate, or at least to prove that you're a U.S. citizen in some fashion. The one requirement the Constitution actually tells you in order to vote in elections. They don't like that because it's racist and bad and Jim Crow and fill in the blank, whatever. And it's really because we're starting to get rid of their voter base. It makes so much sense. You and I know that there's something that's been off for a long time in society, right? We can never put our finger on it. Donald Trump claimed the election fraud in 2020. We didn't quite know how to put our finger on it, how to explain what's going on. We know the nation is center, if not slightly center right. We know that there are some radicals out there on the left side of the aisle. We know that they're very vocal, but we know that they're in the minority. We know the Democrat base in general isn't, or at least we hope is not, as radical as what they appear to be, which is why the platform of the Democrat Party shifting further and further and further to the left doesn't quite make sense. Because we say, wait, that's not common sense. And while we may be losing a lot of people for the rhetoric and the propaganda and the messaging and whatever kind of media blast that the mainstream tries to send out there, at the end of the day, their ratings are crap. So where are we getting this kind of information that's completely off base? We know that the average American isn't as radical as what they try to preach. So something doesn't make sense. But then when you fill in the blank and say the reason we have so many crazy elected officials and Democrats have so much influence and they have so many seats in Congress is because of the census of illegal aliens or whoever that's been here that we're just counting as bodies because they've been counted in the census. So even though many of them haven't voted, even though we're trying to do the voter ID, but even though some of them haven't voted, they've still been represented to have a body in the nation to be represented by Congress. And that's why Democrats have way more power and influence than what they ever should. Honestly, in D.C., it should be like a 60-40 ratio with Republicans. That should be the commonsensical formula, and the fact that it is so close every year has never quite made sense until now.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, welcome back to the program. The desperation, I can smell it coming from the other side of the aisle. They may have gained 5 more seats in California for the House to try and neutralize the 5 seats gained from Texas, but we do have other states, by the way, that have been able to redistrict that are still going to give Republicans a slight edge going into the midterm election. Hopefully, we have to retain that. We have to do voter turnout because, well, if we don't, then we see what happens. A deeply red district that Donald Trump won by like 14 points in Texas as a state Senate district was lost with a special election this past Saturday because Republicans, well, just didn't turn out. Now, in November for that special election, it's going to flip back red. That's what everybody says. It should be an easy win for them again, but they got their jollies up. They're really excited. Hey, we got this momentum. We got Zoran Mamdani, which is back in the news, and we'll get to him in just a little bit again. And now we have this red seat in Texas. Like, Democrats, we're winning. We're going to do this thing. Is it going to work? I don't know. It all depends on voter turnout. But the population change, I think, could be relatively drastic. If we've already seen more than 2 million people exit the country, then that's going to be a drastic change on where the population stands in certain areas. So Democrats may be trying to battle now, but that's maybe why they're so angry, vicious, and desperate, is because they realize the writing on the wall. We'll get to that in just a minute. I want to tell you about my friends over at Lean. So, I've been taking this since the beginning of the year, January 1. I got dressed this morning and I tried to put on my shorts, which, yes, it is beginning of February, but it's 50 degrees here in Kansas, and that is warm for wintertime, and I'm not very happy about it, so I'm still wearing shorts. But I went to put on the shorts today, barely stayed on. It's crazy how much weight I've lost already without changing a thing, but just being able to burn this fat right off because of Lean. Don't do the fad diets anymore. They're good for temporary, but as soon as you get off the fad diet, you gain the weight back. Doctors call it weight cycling, and a lot of Americans do it. When you lose 10 pounds or so, put it back on, add a couple more. It's really tough on your body, and it leaves you really frustrated. I know, I get it. Most people need help losing weight, and here's a great way to do it with non-prescription Lean. It was created by doctors. It's an oral supplement, not an injection, and the science is really impressive. It helps maintain healthy blood sugar. It controls your appetite and your cravings, and it helps lose weight by burning fat and converting it to energy. And when you burn the fat, it keeps the weight off. If you want to lose meaningful weight at a healthy pace and keep it off, add Lean to your diet and your exercise lifestyle. That's all you got to do. Take the pills in the morning. It's super easy. Do it right now and get 20% off when you order using our promo code REASON at checkout. That's REASON. Use the promo code at REASON by going to takelean.com. Again, takelean.com. Use the promo code REASON. Get that 20% off and do it with me right now. All right, speaking of, by the way, the change in the population based on the self-deportations, the deportations from ICE, there was the big news today.
What's trending today?
Tom Homan making the statement that apparently we're pulling 700 ICE agents out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. They're working with the local law enforcement after they've agreed to de-escalate situations and cooperate with ICE and turn the criminals that they have in custody over to ICE. Now, I don't know about you or not, if you remember, that was the initial agreement that we advocated for at the beginning of this entire thing, right? I mean, we don't need an army of ICE agents on the streets. If local law enforcement would arrest a bad guy for being a bad guy and then they turn him over to ICE, we could deport him, process him, do the thing, and we wouldn't have to worry about agents. They chose not to do that. They caused the anarchy. 2 people died because of their mishap, and now they want to de-escalate the problem and work with Tom Homan, and it seems to be working.
We currently have an unprecedented number of counties communicating with us now and allowing ICE to take custody of illegal aliens before they hit the streets. Unprecedented cooperation.
And that's really good. That's right.
And I'll say it again. This is efficient, requires only 1 or 2 officers to assume custody of a criminal alien target rather than 8 or 10 officers going into the community and arresting that public safety threat.
Yeah. So that's what should have been done the first time, but Democrats wanted to play games. Their games led to 2 loss of life in Minneapolis. They blame us, and now they want to de-escalate and go back to the original agreement that we had at the beginning. All for nothing. These guys keep spinning their wheels and damaging us in the meantime.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
truth, reason, and common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, just welcome back into the program. Great to have you today for a middle of the week. It is a Wednesday. That means
it is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. And it's great to have you here for the show. By the way, I have not forgotten the newsletter will be out. I think we're going to do it on Monday. We're just going to push back the newsletter until 1 week past from what we usually do. Normally, our newsletter, the Hoosierholic newsletter, comes out on the first Monday of the month. Because of all the convention stuff I did last week, I didn't get a chance to get it done. So sign up. I'm still giving you a free day. That's why we're totally doing it. We're giving you an extra couple of days in order to sign up for that. Go to HooserReason.com, HOOSER Reason.com. You can sign up for the newsletter. It's completely free. You just get our blog of the month, information about the show. We have a new radio affiliate we're going to be announcing that will start this weekend. Really excited to announce that one. And great new partners as well, and so much more. So go to HooserReason.com. If you want the podcast of the program, you can search on it on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. All right. We'll get our guest on here momentarily. They're calling in any minute. But before we do, I mentioned the man himself, Zoran Mamdani. I'm not sure if you've seen this news or not, but apparently there was an incident with a New York City police officer in a home for, I don't know, a domestic dispute, something going on, was talking to the family until the guy charged the law enforcement officer with a knife and the officer ended up having to shoot him, but gave him every opportunity. Put the knife down, put the knife down, put the knife down. Even ran out of the room and shut a glass door to say, put the knife down, to give him an opportunity to do so. The guy continued to charge with him, and the officer ended up shooting the individual. Now, after this, and this video, by the way, is on social media. We posted it on our social media. Zoran Mamdani, the newly elected socialist, self-proclaimed socialist, but we know what that leads to. So we're going to call him Mamdani the Commie. Can we do that? Mamdani the Commie? Does that, I think that makes sense. He has, I know, right? Come on. He has now made a statement regarding the incident, saying that he went as far to visit the guy in the hospital after being shot by law enforcement because he chased the guy with a knife.
And as you said, I spoke with the Chakraborty family, and I visited Chavez in the hospital. And there is no family should have to endure this kind of pain.
No one should have to endure this kind of pain because of police brutality or something by the officer telling the guy multiple times to put the knife down, and even gave him a chance to shut the door to put a barrier between them before you open the door and attacked law enforcement. That's the kind of guy you have in New York City. And sorry, but that's absolutely insane. All right, I think we have our guest on the line. Let's go to our
What's Trending Today.
That's right. As you know, let's go back to Washington, D.C. for a moment. Outside of the announcement from Tom Homan and the ICE agents, we've passed our appropriation bills, kind of. We have 2 weeks to figure out the Department of Homeland Security for the final funding for the rest of the year, as Democrats, some want to abolish ICE, others want to just reform ICE funding in some degree. But outside of that, Congress said their next priority is going to be health care. And the Trump administration, as you know, just a week or so ago, released their plan for the quote-unquote great health care plan, saying that they want to move money away from insurance companies and subsidies and actually put it directly into the pockets of the American people and let us make our own decisions, allowing Congress to kind of fill in the gaps on how we're going to do this with different options that we have. That's where we're going to go to with our next guest.
Let's go to the Hoosier Media Hotline.
That's right. Really happy to have on the program. She is the co-founder of Patient Rising. Really happy to have on Terry Wilcox. Terry, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. How are you, Andy? It's great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you on the show. I appreciate it very much. First off, I'm excited that we're finally having a conversation about reform of Obamacare, about the subsidies. I find it so odd, Terry, that we have a left side of the aisle that wants more subsidies into Obamacare, subsidizing insurance companies, but then at the same time saying insurance companies are the most evil thing on the face of the earth, and in fact celebrating the death of the CEO that was murdered a year or two ago because people say that, well, health insurance is evil and it's for profit, and they were denying people left and right. But we should subsidize them with our taxpayer money because that makes a lot of sense, right, Terry?
It absolutely does not make sense and at all. It makes no sense. And, you know, as somebody who's originally from Texas, I mean, now I live in Washington, D.C., so I'm sort of out of my element here, but I do my best. Yeah. You know, what's interesting is that whether you call it the Great American Healthcare Plan, which is what the president put forth, or Fund the Patient, which is the group I am I'm an advisor for, the core idea for all of these things is it's exactly the same. Money and decision making should follow the patient, not the bureaucracy. We've been living the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Right? And I just think, more power to them if they want to tackle healthcare in an election year.
Right. Yeah, that's a difficult one. And you know what? For some reason, Terry, I don't know why, Republicans have shied away from healthcare for a long time. While they were in the minority, they said they wanted to repeal Obamacare. They wanted to get rid of the Obamacare subsidies. But every time they get into power, they have, for some reason, a very difficult time doing it or even talking about it. And they say that they have to go back to the drawing room and they have to come up with an alternative plan. I don't know what kind of alternative plan we have. Can't we just start back at the stage of prior to Obamacare and go from there and say we're going to get government out of healthcare, period, end of story?
I totally agree with you. I think at this point, they've been kicked in the shins a lot of times now around fully repealing Obamacare. And honestly, at this stage, with the plan the president's put forth and just a lot of other ideas that are out there, I don't think that you have to actually go through the process of killing Obamacare. I think you can starve it in a way by giving patients more options, right? I don't think you have to. I think that's a waste, in my opinion. Now, this is totally my opinion, but I think somewhat that's a waste of energy, to spend over there. I think there's a lot more that we can do where we can reject the idea that healthcare works best when Washington or insurance companies make all the decisions.
Right.
Right? That's what we want to reject that.
Right.
We want control to follow the patient.
Yeah. Where were
I think there are a lot of good ideas out there for that.
We have a lot of good ideas. We just have to figure out a way to implement them. And I guarantee if Republicans are able to repeal Obamacare and come up with their quote-unquote alternative, that would be a major step in winning re-elections and having the majority in Congress again after the midterms next year, because that's a major step that we've been asking for a very long time. Where were we prior to Obamacare? Because health insurance companies, I mean, they had their they didn't have pre-existing conditions in some aspects. People wanted that fixed. We were still seeing some high prices. Going towards the government route obviously was not the answer. That was the opposite way. But where were we prior to Obamacare, and is that the fix right out of the gate, do you think?
I think the fix right out of the gate, well, prior to Obamacare, we had more choices. Now, we didn't have the no pre-existing condition clause. And part of the problem with Obamacare itself is that it's structured in such a way that there's literally no option. Right? There's bronze, gold, and silver, but at the end of the day, there's really no options. There's no alternatives. Patients don't really control much of anything. And what Obamacare has done is it's built a system that funds paperwork better than it funds patients, right? Or even care at the end. I mean, it does a great job funding paperwork. You can ask any doctor, any patient, anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it does. And prior to that, we had more choices and more options. Now, look, a lot of the patients that we work with, the Patients Rising and others, they couldn't get health care. I mean, my own father, he was a type 1 diabetic, and he always had to have a job.
Right.
Because if he didn't have a job, he didn't have a dentist.
Sure.
Right? And so that was a big deal. That was the number one thing on my dad was never not employed when he was alive, because that was of utmost importance. And so that part of it is good. But a lot of states were doing things, or some states, I know Wisconsin and others, had high-risk pools and things where they took care of their citizens, but not all states are created equal. So having that place where people can go if they need to have that kind of care and that kind of coverage, I think is important. But what's even more important is for us to open up the floodgates. Look, people want to say our healthcare is a free market system. Our healthcare is anything but a free market system. It's anything but that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a free market system. You can say whatever you want. Oh, we need to be more like Canada. We need to move. Look, we're already halfway there.
Right.
And we're not doing it very good. We have veterans. We have the veterans care. We have, Medicare. We have Medicaid. I mean, we're more than halfway there. And the other half is paid for by employers and the American people and taxpayers. And taxpayers pay for all of it, quite frankly.
Sure.
But, I mean, that's what it is. And so being able to open up these ideas with the plan that the president, put forth, because what's happened over the years is the costs have gone up and up and up. And I can get really wonky about why that is, and I'm not going to for your audience because they don't really want to hear that. But the prices have just skyrocketed. All of it is shifting to the patients and to the people, and they're feeling it.
Yeah.
The average American family, either their employer or they, if they have the full health care coverage, you know, it's $27,000 a year. That is also the cost of the average mortgage.
Yep. I know, and the farther we go down this road, the more they try and say we're going to save the day. You know, we're going to be the Gandalf riding in on the great white horse to save the healthcare industry, save people with better options, better prices, so on and so forth. Every time we do this, it just continues to get worse. At some point, we're going to have to learn our lesson, and I think a lot of people are waking up to that for sure. We're talking with Terry Wilcox, a co-founder of the Patient Rising. You can find their information on how to advocate for more options. We got to take a break in just a minute here, Terry, so hang on the line. But when we come back, I want to ask you about if we had it, and if we can go down this road, the perfect system. What does that look like? Because I got to be honest, as we talk about health insurance in general, I know things are expensive with surgeries or if you have some really bad issue, debilitating disease, but is healthcare really mandatory? And if we go down a new system, we hit a reset button, we could create it any way we want to. Could we find an alternative to where we don't even need healthcare, or is the insurance part maybe just a minimized part of what we actually need to do? We focus on direct primary care providers and so on and so forth. We'll cover some of that when we come back around the corner. What's the future of healthcare look like? And with Donald Trump now advocating for paying the people directly or allowing us to just keep our money directly, having a health savings account, what could the future of healthcare look like in the nation? And will Republicans have the huevos to make it happen? We'll do that when we come back around the corner. Stay right here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Big government is broken. Every year, politicians fail to pass a budget as the deficit continues to grow. Every month, unelected bureaucrats pile on rules no one voted for, strangling our economy. And every day, DC's broken system gets in the way of the American dream. Washington isn't working, and the people pay the price. At Americans for Prosperity, we believe it's time to fix the system. Now, join the movement to make government work.
When it comes to something like sausage, I know you want the best quality, the best flavor, and the best in services. Andy Hooser here for J&S Smoked Snacks. And it's time for you to try their handcrafted sausage, made in small batches for freshness and seasoned with their signature blends. You won't find anything else like it. Make sure to try their one-of-the-kind dill pickle sausage made with real pickles, or spice things up with my favorite, the jalapeno cheddar sausage. Taste the difference today at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy the Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all the social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, common sense, reason, rationale. It's what we do on this program each and every day, especially for a Wednesday. Have no fear, the Voice of Reason is here. As we are talking about healthcare, the potential healthcare replacement, healthcare plans, and will Republicans grow the huevos to actually make it happen? That is the big conversation. That being said, I do want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity as we talk about options, getting rid of Obamacare, focusing on more options, the great healthcare plan that Donald Trump has deemed it, giving money back to the people and allowing more competition within the market, allowing more options for your business, for your individual self, for your household, whatever it may be. We want more options. And I want you to go to a website at personaloption.com, personaloption.com. Our friends at Americans for Prosperity are putting pressure on elected officials to make sure that you and I have better options out there in the market as we work on healthcare reforms in Washington, D.C. and what that may look like. It is free to sign up. They are educating people right now so that way we can be on the up and up and be on the forefront of this battle legislatively with our elected officials by going to personaloption.com. Again, personaloption.com. All right, we're hanging out with Terry Wilcox, co-founder of Patient Rising, as we talk about what this could look like moving forward. So, Terry, in the perfect world in your mind, if Donald Trump came to you and said, Terry, you're fantastic. I want you to build our healthcare plan. We need to do something different. Ideally, what would that look like for you? How could this process work and what we can start working towards?
Well, I think the number one thing in the president is already there is that the money follows the patient. Healthcare dollars should follow people, not institutions, right? Yeah. So instead of sending money to insurers and massive hospital systems and bloated government programs and hoping that it helps, the funds can go directly to individuals and families so they can figure out the care that works for them. And this is just something Congress needs to do. You can starve Obamacare by passing good legislation that gives people more options, right?
Yeah.
And the number two thing is patients control their decisions. Patients control with their doctors. Patients make the decision, doctors deliver the care. Doctors practice the medicine, bureaucrats don't. And right now, especially through the patients that we represent at Patients Rising, you've got bureaucrats representing everything you do. Every medicine you try to take, every doctor you try to see. So the perfect system restores the patient-doctor relationship as the center of care. without insurance rules or government mandates or overriding a doctor and a patient's decision. And healthcare shouldn't be a government-approved template, and that is what Obamacare is. Some people want traditional insurance.
Sure.
Some want direct primary care. Some want an HSA. The perfect system allows all of it because people's lives aren't identical. And insurance needs to go back. This is the number one thing that needs to happen in all of this. Is insurance should protect you from catastrophe, not micromanage your life. Not in a healthy system, insurance is there for major illnesses, for emergencies. It's not telling you which doctor you're allowed to see or which medicine you're allowed to take for routine care.
Right.
No other industry, and this is another thing, no other industry hides prices. And healthcare shouldn't either. So the more transparency we have in our pricing and in healthcare, the better. When patients control the dollars, prices should be transparent. They should know what they're paying for. And that drives competition. It lowers costs. It improves quality. All of that needs to be there.
Yeah. It sounds like just cutting out a lot of red tape across the board, the bureaucracy, the middleman between the pharmaceutical industry and to the actual clinic, or from the insurance company to the healthcare provider. I mean, it sounds like just across the board, get people out of the way, let people make their choices, and stop just jacking up the price across the board. It's really that simple, and if we do that, we allow a free market to do its thing, then it sounds like it would kind of correct itself for the most part.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not radical. It's restorative. We're not inventing something new. We're undoing decades of policies that have pushed patients out of the equation.
Yeah.
Patients already make smart decisions in housing, in education, in retirement. Healthcare is the last place we refuse to trust people. That and voter ID, but those things. So,
well, that's a work in progress. We're working on that one. Hopefully we can make that happen as well. I love it.
Yeah.
Terry, we got about 20 seconds left. If people want more information with what you do at Patient Rising, how can they get a hold of you guys?
Well, we are at patientsrising.org. Patients Rising, we exist to say one very simple thing. Healthcare doesn't belong to systems, agencies, or middlemen. It belongs to patients. And that's what we do at Patients Rising. Patientsrising.org, and also fundthepatient.com, which is the other program that I'm working on.
I love it. Go and get it done. PatientRising.org. Go and check out all the great information. Terry, thank you for coming on. Keep up this fight. It is an insanely important fight, and we want to see this get done, and hopefully we can see it get done this year. But, Terry, thank you. Let's get you back on and do it again real soon, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Andy. Have a good night.
You as well. Appreciate it very much. Back at it again tomorrow for your pre-Friday celebration. Until then, be your own voice of reason. We'll see you back on the radio soon. Bye. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. When I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic.